Hard to tell when these are live these days. If it is live, looks like it is now. Hope you're well, those of you coming on. Today we begin something called the 17 Days of Quantum. And what those 17 days are about is sharing with you something each day that I believe has been acquiesced, has been let go of, and has been lost in our society, which now finds us in a place that for some of us we don't desire to be. So these 17 days of quantum is over the next 17 days I will be sharing a particular topic, a particular insight that I believe to be important. But it's also leading up to, some of you may have seen, to a pre-launch that we're doing, which is giving access to one of our key and core navigational programs that teaches people how to understand themselves, not get caught up in anyone else's philosophy, but to understand themselves and their own truth. So there's more of that coming out today, so keep your eyes open for that. What I'm wanting to share with you today is something called generational wisdom. And I believe a culture, a community, and even down to its more singular nucleus, a family, can be determined by the wisdom that is passed on to the following generation. See, for many of us in Western culture, we've become used to ostracizing and pointing fingers at other cultures that are different to us. And it's something that's been conditioned into us for some time. But one of the things that's very evident about cultures outside of the Western sphere is they tend to have generational wisdom, ideas, insights, points of life that they share with the next generation. And what I love about this is that they put a significant value in children. They take the time to organize what they believe to be most important. And I believe, with all the best intentions in our current living environment, the pursuit of wealth, the pursuit of success has come at the lack of attention being paid to children. To me, I believe children are one of our greatest points and most significant aspects of wisdom. But we need to develop a humility within ourselves to be able to get to a point where we can teach our children, where we can be sharing something of value. And this is where the real question comes. Do I have something of value to share? Do I believe enough in what I'm doing each and every day that I am following principles that I am resonant with, that I have considered, and that I've made a decision to speak into my particular truth, to follow each day that I believe to be as much of an example to my children and the next generation, that I am willing to organize that. And what does it mean to organize? We don't organize things that are not important in our life. We only organize the things that are important. And I would suggest to you as an eternal law that energy will go where it is most organized. Attention will go where it's most organized. Anything in our own life when it comes to finances, love, will always go where it's most organized. We put time and energy and effort into the things that we believe to be important. Now, if we have an understanding within ourselves, what it is that works for us, what it is that's most important, how it is that we communicate, how it is that we show respect, how it is that we can learn to listen to others, but more importantly, to listen to ourselves, how it is that we can value our own self, how it is that we can create and step into our own fears and move past the unknown into our own creation. These type of information needs to be understood within the individual before they pass it on to the next generation, which to me says that most common in our culture is we're bereft of the very fabric of what we are. We're so used to being told what to do. We're so used to trusting in what outside sources are going to deliver to us. But we haven't taken the time to stop and consider what it is that's important to me. To be able to cut away the chaff in my life, the things that might be interesting and intriguing but are not critical and important. Because if we would have to sit down and cause the next generation to understand, we'd have to present something of value. We'd have to be able to demonstrate that. We'd have to become the example of that. And by default, the very practice of this elevates the individual that's sharing this information as they start to become present to their own brilliance, to the things that work for them, to the things that elevate them into a place of their own unique difference. that gives them the confidence and the courage to speak their truth, to speak in a way and allow themselves to recognize and accept other people's truths without being affected by their emotions or by their feelings, to react in such a way that becomes degenerative to society, and let alone their own self. I'm talking about strengthening, deepening the weave and the fabric that we have in our own life. That we take the time to understand, look, over the many generations, what is it that in Western culture that we are shown, that we are taught, that we are enabled by, besides a broken educational system, broken political systems? Where is it within our own selves that we have an accountability and an independence that allows us to look beyond what we're being told, to be able to discern at a very deep level? You see, to me, we are never being manipulated. We are never being corrupted by anything outside of our own selves. We are doing that to our own self. When we acquiesce, when we misunderstand the very nature of our own responsibility to elevate to a place beyond what we're being taught, beyond the examples we've been given. And I believe that something that's very much missing in society today is generational wisdom, which is not being passed on. But again, for it to be passed on, it has to be believed. It's a value to organize it enough to share it with someone else in order so that they understand it. There's such a deep insecurity that exists within most of us that we're focusing so much of our lives on pursuing accumulation and possession of things around us, rather than being able to convey and emanate what it is that exists within us. I'm not falling into the trap of the trouble that we're now in. I believe that we're in the best time of our own life as long as we're prepared for it, as long as we can get past and be prepared, not just in this generation, but generations to come, to start to bring people to a point of their own understanding where they can follow and trust in themselves, not occasionally, not through opportunity, but to be able to discern and trust and act upon their own voice, silencing the voices around them, not in order to do harm, but to elevate oneself, to cause people around them to become resilient as you start to develop and create your own example, your own truth. So what is it that you can add to generational wisdom? And I'd suggest to each of us that all of our lives will become enriched when we sit down and recognize what it is that I would pass on to the next generation, what it is that I believe to be critical that my children need to learn, and not just learn, but understand. That very exercise for each individual to go through and do that will bring to each individual the recognition of understanding. Do I actually have something of value? What am I actually doing? What am I moving towards? What am I recreating? What plan do I have within my own self to listen to my own resonance, to create my own difference? Generational wisdom is significant. What is it that you would pass on to the next generation? Why is it that we are not passing on significant understandings and sharing those with the next generation? Thank you for listening. Until we meet again on the inside, enjoy you.